IVM.
So welcome to another week on IVM. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This week on Simplified in a Shorty, Naren and Shrikit simplify the phenomena of near-death experiences with interesting cases and scientific theories. On Pragati, Pawan and Hamsani are joined by economic policy expert Yazad Jal to discuss negative and positive rights. On the Scene and the Unseen, Amit Verma is joined by stand-up comedian Aditi Mittal and our production controller Swati to discuss misogyny and popular culture. On Pulyabazi, Saurabh and Pranay speak to Shruti Rajgopalan about the meaning and importance of property rights in India. This week on Shunya One, we have Suchita Salwan, founder and CEO of LBP, a local recommendations platform striving to discover all things new and old. On Hustle Science, Ranveer and Tejaswin speak to their buddy, tech entrepreneur and founder of Hello Inc., Angad Nadkarni, to understand his coding craze and a lot more about his stories. And now, on to your shows.
Get out your tissue boxes because we're talking about all the Pixar movies this week, beginning with The Incredibles 2, which just came out. So Tejas and I am Dinkar, by the way. Hello, nice to meet you. Tejas and I are going to talk about The Incredibles 2, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. And then we are going to get into some very controversial opinions on Pixar. And by controversial, I mean we love all of them. We're just trying to rank them. And there's some disagreement on which we love more. It's a tough one, but you're going to enjoy this episode right after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to listen to attempt number 15 to record the promo for the podcast Varta Lab.
Varta Lab.
Varta Lab.
Varta Lab.
Varta Lab.
All day, all night, Varta Lab.
Oh yeah. It's a really nice podcast, guys. It's with me and Naveen, and it has really nice stories.
Yeah, people come tell their stories, ups and downs, fun times. We all cry at the end. It's like a Karan Joy movie, but in 1 hour or less.
Yay.
Yeah, every Monday. Yeah.
It's got humans.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit Podcast. Not just a regular episode, it's another edition of...
What a cartoon! Cartoon.
Yes, that was the hotkey that I just pressed for that sound effect.
It's our regular sound drop that we always do.
But it was recorded live by the
recorded live. And those effects, you can tell they were practical.
Yeah, practical
like
effects.
Clearly organic, practical audio effects.
Analog, bro.
Yeah, such an organic delay sound. You can hear the decay like fall off so gently.
You can hear the people also leave this episode gently. Dinkar, hi, welcome to another Water Cartoon episode.
Thank you
And,
for the welcome.
Yes, and what is the topic of our sub-series?
We are talking possibly the most, movie for movie, the most successful, both creatively and financially, movie studio of all time, Pixar.
Yes, is that true?
I feel like it might be.
I think this, we're going to be talking about The Incredibles.
There was a point up till which Pixar did not have a single loser.
Miss,
they didn't take an L, as the kids say.
Yes, this is true. And
they would
I
take
believe...
all W's, which is not equal in slang.
You know that famous Beck song, Winner. But I think in The Incredibles 2, or Incredibles 2 as it is known, by the way, that was a big thing, huh?
What?
Like a lot of people... So the first movie was called The Incredibles.
Correct.
And a lot of fans made a big hue and cry because it was not called The Incredibles 2. It was called...
What are you saying?
It's just Incredibles 2.
It's not called The Incredibles 2?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, that's precisely why I think they just didn't need... They could just drop the first word.
I suppose so.
The Incredibles 2 is the highest grossing animated film of all time.
Oh, already?
Yeah, I think...
I thought it had the highest opening.
I think it does have the highest opening. It is close to making being the highest grossing animated film.
That's surprising, wouldn't you say?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it's surprising because...
The Incredibles 1, The Incredibles, was immensely successful and really beloved.
And also... Like 14 years ago, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for a franchise to come back after so many years...
This is one of those wanna-feel old memes.
Yes.
Yes.
Only 2000s kids will remember.
Yeah, true.
Which is everyone.
Literally a 2000 kid. Only 2004 kids will remember.
But yeah, man, I think The Incredibles obviously was a great film.
It was a great film.
But I mean, they kind of just said, well, here's another great film from Pixar. So I think,
guess so.
And that's the trouble with Pixar, right? Like, because they have so many good films. How is one supposed to outshine like another? Like, how is one movie gonna be the greatest, animated film of all time if it's coming
there
from a
is
house
one,
of...
and we'll get to it in the last segment of our episode,
This is
where we
interesting.
rank the Pixar films.
Yes, it's gonna be quite controversial.
It shall be.
Yes. So let's talk about let's get into
Let's
it.
get into Incredibles 2 at first.
Yes.
Let me start by giving another controversial opinion. I
Yeah.
really like Incredibles,
Yeah.
The Incredibles, but I never thought it was the greatest of all time or anything of the
No,
sort. I thought it was a
not talking
good
about,
movie.
I don't think that was the greatest Pixar film of all time.
Exactly.
surely.
In fact, I felt
So I
like
think we
it
already
was
know what we're
in the rankings of Pixar films. While I really like the movie,
Yeah.
it's not even close to one of my favorites. It's a great
Agreed.
movie,
But I think is it because so that's Pixar's
my
thing,
standards for Pixar are really high.
Right? No,
maybe.
I don't believe that to be the fact. I think it's also because Pixar usually does more fantastical kind of films, which are got to do with like
Kind of,
you know,
yeah.
they've not used. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the first time that humans were used as the principal characters in the film.
Was it the first?
Yeah,
Possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because before
Because
that
it
was
was so long
toys,
ago.
bugs, monsters,
Bugs Lightyear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that, and then they finally decided to use humans, and they made it a superhero movie when they could have made it anything else, like Inside Out, say.
Here's so it's the closest Pixar's gotten to a DreamWorks movie, which is insulting.
That is
I
an
know.
insult.
Yeah.
That's a burn. That's a hard
Exactly.
I saw The Incredibles
Because
recently.
it's not as unique a concept. You know what I mean?
in
As,
terms of superheroes.
in terms
I think
of
it's a
Pixar
great,
movies.
In terms of Pixar movies, yes, but I think as a superhero film, if that's what you look at, look at it as, it's one of the more ingenious kind of superhero films. And you know what?
for its time, yes.
You think about it, it came at a time which is quite early in the superhero game. You
Yeah.
know, now we're like, so into it with DC, Marvel, etc. Trying their hands at it. But this came in 2004. That means it came only like 4 years after X-Men, maybe like 2 years after Spider-Man, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And, it had concepts in it which were more relevant now to the genre than it was back then,
True,
Like, because
yes.
you need to kind of set up the rules before you can break them, and this
they
was
created
already
the
breaking.
Sokovia Accords.
Yes,
basically.
yeah, it was so cool. I always found it very similar to the story of Watchmen.
Yes.
In the fact that what happens when superheroes retire, and then they took their Pixar turn on it, which is that how would the families kind of integrate themselves in society? How would families deal with each other?
Yeah.
So that was always cool about it. I mean, it was the Fantastic Four movie that we needed, but we didn't
More
get
or
in
less,
the
yeah.
Fantastic Four, right? And I think that was really, really great. I saw it again recently, and while the animation is, leaps and bounds ahead from it, like today, obviously, in Incredibles 2, you can tell also that, Mr. Incredible has so much more detail, and shaded his nose and things like that. It's great. And, but back then, animation wasn't as great, but the action in that film was excellent. The story was amazing. I really thought that movie. I think that movie is a really good film.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really
Yeah.
good film. I'm just holding it to an impossibly high standard.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I mean that's what Pixar has taught me to expect from them. It's great, but in terms of everything, in terms of like the emotional fillip that Pixar movies generally
Correct,
give you,
yeah.
it's one of the ones that.
So yeah,
it's
these
more of a
movies-
fun movie for
Correct,
me
yeah.
than a
Do you associate
change your life movie.
Pixar movies with the fact
Tears?
that you
Yes,
tears, yeah.
of course.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't feel like they're going. I mean, maybe they are going for it at this point. They're like, this one, they're gonna like
They're gonna
tissue
destroy you.
like just buy all the tissue stock you can because it's
Yeah.
gonna shoot through the roof.
Man, it's true. I think that's what they're really best at. I mean, like, they have managed to make me cry. I don't cry usually. Like, generally, I don't cry as a human. But I go for a Pixar movie and I know that
I
the
feel like I've cried
waterworks
more
are
at Pixar
on.
things than real life things.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. And I've rewatched those movies several times, so I have cried on multiple occasions watching
Yeah.
those films. But yeah, man, I still love The Incredibles as an independent film. It's a great movie. Brad Bird really put his signature stamp on it. We've spoken about this, about
Yeah.
how in our last episode when we we were talking about Michael Giacchino's score and everything, and we were just talking about how they managed to fuse two completely different genres, which is like the spy movie thriller and a superhero film together. And it's the first time I've ever seen a concoction like that, and they continued it with this film, with Incredibles 2.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Now that we've established that Incredibles was such a good film,
Yes.
what did you think of Incredibles 2?
I thought it was good.
I thought
Not
it was good.
Great.
Yeah.
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 Which again, unfortunately, is what Pixar has taught us to expect. They have taught us to expect greatness.
It's a perfectly good film.
It's a perfectly,
It's a perfectly good, acceptable film.
well above
Well made,
average.
yes.
In fact, well above good. It's really good.
It's a really good film.
Yeah.
But there was something missing in it, man.
It's got
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit of a case of sequelitis because it's not as good as the first one.
Oh, not even close.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. I really wanted to love this film. And, a lot of people came back from it and, I got really great reviews and everything like that. And it was just like, this is a fucking great movie. Right?
It is.
Yeah, but I went for it and I saw it and I really enjoyed it while watching in the theater. And then I went home and I thought about it and I slept on it and I came back. I thought about it again. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's not as great as I thought it was.
It's not as memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, to follow up, it's
Yeah.
closer to DreamWorks
There you
than
go.
even the original.
Yes, it is closer to DreamWorks. And this
feels
is
like
so
a
sad. I
really-
feel so
yeah,
bad
I know,
saying that.
unfortunately.
But, this is what happens when you set the bar really high.
Exactly.
Um,
There was a lot to live up to. But let's
get into
Let's
it,
try and
though.
treat this movie on its own merits.
Okay.
Let's say.
But, I mean, it's hard to escape
Yeah.
the prequel. I mean, the first movie. So, because it's building off all the concepts
Yeah,
in that.
it picks up almost immediately after. It's similar. Basically, the Incredibles meet a rich tycoon who
Yes.
wants to help them.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk. And I
Cool.
heard his voice. I was like, is that
Yeah,
Bob Odenkirk?
exactly, yeah.
Sounding oddly happy,
Yeah,
which he
yeah.
never does.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice to hear an optimistic
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, which is so
Yeah.
rare. He's great. That guy is amazing. But yes, basically, Bob Odenkirk's character wants to help bring superheroes back into
Society,
yeah.
It's cool. I think I think the action in this film was fantastic. I think it supersedes the original movie in terms of that first
Easily.
Elastigirl scene on the bike was
When
nuts.
she's stopping the train
was so good.
was really well done.
Man,
it
yeah.
was perfect.
Dude, the
and it's
animation
not
has just gotten better, man. They just do such creative things with it. man.
Exactly. What I really liked about that scene in particular, and most of the scenes in general, is this is not your typical action where it's like, what is the coolest way this person can
Correct.
punch this person?
Exactly.
Because if you look at that scene, essentially, it's not really an action. It's a chase sequence.
It's a perfectly...
She doesn't punch nothing.
Yeah.
She basically goes and stops a train by pulling at it and turning into a parachute
No,
or
but
whatever.
it's even just, the ingenuity when it comes to using the bike.
Exactly.
And how they've used her powers in,
So her
with that
bike splits apart as she stretches herself.
So
How
smart.
when she goes into a tunnel, she starts running two
So
halves of her
good,
body along the
so
tunnel
good.
sideways. Just really well done, very innovative stuff.
Very innovative
That's the kind of
stuff.
stuff that makes you go like, oh my god, this person is smart.
Yeah,
and not
exactly.
just that she's stretchy.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you can't help but wonder, it's like, man, I wish we saw this in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. I was like, this is what it would, be like. If not, like something less than this, this is so smart. The other things that I really just I really liked about it is just the fact that everyone just, man, the way they act, man.
Yeah.
The facial, just the acting is so good.
It was
man.
so good.
Yeah, and I think, anyway, so I think just,
And this is, other than Dash, it's the original cast, correct?
Yeah, Dash grew up. Yeah.
Dash grew up.
Yeah. So,
But Violet was always played by Sarah Vowell from
Yeah,
This American Life.
Exactly. And
Which I
Sarah
didn't-
Vowell is now apparently as old as Helen Hunt was when she did Elastigirl in the first movie.
Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter, sorry. No, Helen Hunt is a different actress.
Helen
right?
Hunt is Mad About You.
Correct.
Holly Hunter is the
right.
piano.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, so, and it's bizarre, man. Bizarre.
And they're all in their 50s. But
Dude,
man,
Craig T.
she's
Nelson
so good as
is 70-something, or he's 80-something now.
No,
man.
he's in his 60s, I think.
No, dude.
70s.
He was in his 60s when, man, Craig T. Nelson, right?
Yeah.
He's a
great.
dad figure, man.
Exactly.
He was an old dad. Man, he was the last I think I saw him in was in The Proposal. He plays Ryan Reynolds' dad.
Yes.
In that, and yeah, man, he's
He's
old now.
great, though.
And you can tell it's there in his voice. You can hear it.
Sort of.
Yeah.
He's 74.
Exactly.
That's insane.
And he's still Mr. Incredible. And still, he did a great
Greg
job.
Theodore Nelson.
Yeah.
And, and he did a great job. Though
Yeah.
I've always felt like Mr. Incredible is Patrick Warburton.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
They look exactly alike.
One second.
I mean,
Let's quickly do this. Let's cast them. Patrick
Okay.
Warburton, surely.
And Elastigirl, Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
That's
she's got
great.
it's a similar
It's a very Joan
inflection.
Cusack role, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, her voice is very much
and
like
she's
that.
got that like a slight, her S's are
That slurred-
SHs
yeah,
that
yeah.
Joan Cusack does.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, we're casting slightly younger versions of Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Craig T. Nelson in his prime probably could play Mr. Incredible.
Yeah,
Because,
true.
I mean, they have modeled it after their faces a little bit.
Slightly, yeah.
Dash would be Tom
Dash,
Holland or something
Tom,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Grant Gustin. Are we just naming other
'Cause he's
fast
Flash.
characters?
yeah. And
But you need like a chirpy, like, hey, what's up, guys? Kind of thing.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Tom Holland, yeah. And who else? Violet.
Lena Dunham, because she already sounds like that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
True. Lena Dunham. I'm just trying to think of anybody else. Or like a Kat Dennings or something.
A Kat Dennings would be great.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Good.
And Jack
Well
Jack.
done. And yeah.
Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen from Original Full House.
Who do you replace Samuel L. Jackson with?
No, Samuel L. Jackson has to play
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And he's ageless. He's also like in his 70s or something.
Or we would get, for that, this guy, man, Jay Farrow.
Ah, correct.
Yeah.
Doing a Samuel L. Jackson impression.
Pretty much.
Of course.
Yeah, or King Batch. What's he? The guy, Instagram guy. King
Oh,
Batch.
right,
I love
yeah.
him, man. He's
Huh.
good. Okay, cool.
Wow, we got
Done with
completely
that.
sidetracked. But yes.
Yes.
Coming back to the merits of the movie. So the action spectacular. I really like the story also. It was
man,
a cool...
so I thought the story was a little like all over the place. Okay.
Yeah, so it starts out well. I really like the idea of kind of getting this sort of rivalry between Mr. and Mrs. Incredible
Really
into the
though?
picture.
Because like for me, it's like, so I just thought that theme of them reversing the roles was just, I mean,
I feel
okay.
it was poorly done. I really liked it when it started out, the idea of Mr. Incredible, who's literally, as we saw in the first film as well, and in this one, he's always based his identity around the fact that he's Mr. Incredible.
Correct.
And like he's got that great dialogue where he says like, not Mr. So-so,
Yeah.
not Mr. Mediocre, Mr. Incredible. And he's based his entire life around being
But I mean,
a super.
why is that such a big deal? I mean, like, this is set in like the past, so a stay-at-home dad is clearly not a thing.
Yeah, see, I didn't like the way it became about his struggles with being a stay-at-home
Yeah,
dad.
because that's not a big
It really
deal
should have been
anymore.
like an identity thing between them. Because
Correct.
the way they set it up was, she's a better superhero than you, and this is a person who's based his entire life on being an amazing super.
Correct, yeah.
So the idea that Elastigirl is an incredible superhero who's always refused to own it.
And a soft sell for the public.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Mr. Incredible is a guy who's always thought he's better than he is.
Correct.
That conflict would have been interesting, but they downplayed it and
They
made
downplayed
it about
it,
like the
yeah.
practicalities of like, oh, he's got to change a diaper and he's not
Correct,
getting
yeah.
sleep.
I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I
which-
mean, like, it was funny.
They didn't go as deep as they could have.
Yeah.
It was funny, yes.
And-
But it stayed on that surface funny level.
So that theme is one that didn't hit home for me as
I
well.
feel like the theme was good. They didn't quite stick the landing on its execution.
What did you think of Screenslaver?
I don't know.
I just-
Again,
yeah.
like they were, I feel like they were shooting for the moon in terms of their themes. Here, the idea that technology is enslaving us all, great. That's an interesting thing to talk about
Right.
in like this day and age, the year of our Lord 2018.
Correct.
But they really never go into it beyond the fact that he's called Screenslaver.
Man, Screensaver.
And his
something
reveal-
that the people, I guess kids today won't even know what a screensaver is.
Exactly.
Right?
They don't
I mean,
have to save their screens anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bizarre.
But that's kind of like that's the joke that's aimed at the parents of the
Maybe,
kids, maybe.
yeah, maybe.
But still, they don't really get into why it's a worry and why this person is a villain.
So
and
yeah.
the way they set it up, the reveal of who Screenslaver turns
Yeah,
out to be was
spoiler alert. Yeah.
Was I mean, like we don't have to spoil it, but really, it's
it
anybody
comes
going to the
miles away,
movie
yeah.
knows it already.
Man, you know what I thought was a really good theme that they just didn't get into a lot was actually sided with the villain and the idea, because they just sidetracked that so like immediately. It almost became like just her monologuing, right?
Exactly.
It was this scene where Elastigirl is tracking the signal and this dialogue is happening. You know, the screensaver is like, giving this monologue. And whatever the screensaver says in that monologue was the most
Was
interesting
absolutely
thing.
true, yeah.
Which is that people just keep relying on supers to save them and like nobody wants to do anything themselves. And I thought that was the meat
They
of the story
focused
for
more
me.
on the slaver aspect.
Yeah, and I just didn't get why they just abandoned it. I guess it was too complex a theme
Did
for
you
them
notice
to...
how the Incredibles never dealt with the screenslaver?
Yeah.
Both the movie and the family.
Yeah.
They don't engage with the screenslaver on a thematic level or a motivational level.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're the evil person, let's stop
destroy.
you.
Yeah, correct.
There's no talk of like, hey, maybe they have a point, or you're wrong because of so-and-so.
Exactly.
Which the first movie had.
Yes,
and
that's
in
so
this
true.
one, they're like, that's the villain, gotta get the villain.
Yeah, because they're family people. They just gotta get rid of the villain. And just,
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I felt like that was the interesting part of the film.
it's pulling up a bunch of themes. The idea that everyone's a slave to screens. The idea that everyone relies on supers and technology.
And then there's the other theme of like, what do you call it? Like security using cameras, like, to kind of show people that this is what's happening. I don't know. Is that like a thing?
Yeah, they're like delving into what body cams on cops and stuff, right?
Is that a thing? Is that what they were trying to say? I don't even know.
I don't think. I feel like they kind of just brought up all these heavy topics, and usually like Pixar does one heavy topic and then like gets into it on 20 levels. Here they brought up 4 different heavy topics and just dealt with them on a surface
all
level.
Of them,
which is why it's a DreamWorks movie. I mean, I don't mean that. I'm sorry, Pixar. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, because the more I think about it, I think, like this is so unlike them, to not get into the real, meat of it.
Exactly.
A movie I felt also did something similar to was Inside Out, which I felt like it was great. They could have gone even deeper, but they didn't. But it's fine. I mean, that's a
I have
perfectly
some
good
thoughts
film.
on why that is, though.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in Inside Out, it makes sense why they went that route.
Yeah, no, fair
But
enough.
We'll
get into it. So let's take a short break, and we'll come back. Let's talk about Pixar movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Every week comes a show where 3 people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.
Welcome back to the Geek Food Podcast. We are talking about what a cartoon : Pixar.
Wow.
Episode 6.
What is this, Bonnie Red?
It rambles a lot, but basically we're talking about The Incredibles 2 and all of the Pixar movies eventually. As we were saying, we feel like this movie did not match up to the expectations we had of it, but what did you like about The Incredibles 2? Or Incredibles 2, as Pixar would have you call it. So they pulled The Fast and the Furious here.
Yeah, my God. No, as always, I enjoyed the character dynamics, but like the inter-character kind of stuff. Like I love the small little conversations between, say, Dash and Violet, and actually I liked a lot of the Dash and Violet scenes.
Dash and Violet were great.
They're like
in
the
this
stars,
Violet
man.
killed it.
So good.
Such a great character arc for her.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, just the writing of the dialogue is really, really good. The action, like I said, is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I just thought, I mean, like, it was just like a fun watch.
It was
Obviously,
the stuff
good to hear
expected.
the score again.
I
the
really
Michael
liked,
Giacchino score.
I think the kids stole the show in this one. And Elastigirl probably.
What did you think of the new supers?
Who, I don't know. I thought they were
felt
okay.
little, yeah.
And in fact, like all of them looked slightly evil to me.
Yeah, I mean,
just in their character design.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is odd. And they didn't have much of a role. They kind of turn up. They have superpowers.
Yeah.
And at one point they're taken over. And then, well, you have a happy ending over that.
Man, you know what
There's really no depth to any of them.
Yeah, the only person who I really, wanted to see actually, since they were continuing it almost immediately from the end of the last one, was the Underminer. Because he's got my favorite line ever, which is like, I am beneath you, but there is nothing beneath me. Yeah. It's my favorite. And they never catch him.
Yeah.
He just goes.
They just let him go.
Yeah.
He's the, I mean, that's John Ratzenberger.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think that's why.
That's why.
Yeah,
because he's got to be in the next one as well. Or he'll play another character.
But yeah, man. So I enjoyed it.
Jack was great.
So that's what I was going to say. I think Jack and obviously Edna are so good.
Yeah.
And they're actually, that one scene with the raccoon was so funny, man. It was just great.
Yeah.
So I think, I actually didn't like the story. I liked everything else. How did I put it any other way?
It's odd, unfortunately. But that brings us to Pixar as a whole.
Yes.
Who, as I said at the beginning of this episode, up till a point, were going like 10 for 10.
Yeah.
And then they started getting slightly inconsistent.
I mean, it was almost impossible, man. Like, even the golden age
Yeah.
of Disney also ended, like...
That's true.
So, it happens. I mean, you can't be only hits, man. You gotta... It's not going to be a perfect process. I did come up with an idea that I felt like most Pixar movies are about, man, which is a theme that I found right from Toy Story till the more recently, released Coco, which is that, man, this is how they get people to cry. I figured it out.
Yeah, their entire MO is how to make people cry.
Yeah, and I know how they do it. They play on this one emotion, which is the strongest theme in all Pixar films, which is the idea of being forgotten. Is the core theme of all Pixar movies. Is just what will happen if somebody forgot you. And that is such a heartbreaking idea, because it's not a theme that you find in other films. Like, I feel like a really strong theme which I found in, like, say, the Dark Knight trilogy is catharsis, right? The Dark Knight Rises really redeems the Batman character, and for that you get so many feels, you get a bunch of feels that you didn't know you were going to expect, right? You get action feels, you get, like, romantic feels and all that stuff, but, like, catharsis isn't not
it's
something
the
that
overarching
is... Yeah, it's not something that you get very often, right?
Yeah.
Or if you take, any other movie, right? You get, like, different kinds of, like, feels. But the Pixar feels, man, are so unique, because it's all about this idea that we don't want to be lost, we don't want to be forgotten. Now, you take Toy Story, essentially that's what it's about, right? It's about Andy going to school and, or Andy growing up, basically.
I was going to say, I feel like the takeaway themes are the idea of being forgotten and the loss of childhood.
Yeah, the loss of innocence.
Which is why it hits, the loss of innocence. That's why it hits adults as well so hard,
that's
because they're like, this
you think
happened.
Kids are watching this and going like, what the hell are these guys thinking, talking about? You feel like that's what's happening?
No, I think kids enjoy it as well. That's the great thing about Pixar films, right? There's a lot of levels going on.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I think you could look at a Pixar movie from like 10 years ago and not have to deal with it the way you did when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Like, the first time you watched Toy Story, you loved it. But you watched Toy Story last week, you love it in a completely different way.
Yeah, so true. You want to do a hot takes on all these guys?
We okay, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
I was pulling up list of Pixar films.
Yeah, I figured.
But yeah, we have, okay. We will begin in 1995.
Man, classic, yeah.
Okay, Toy Story.
I mean, what can I say? The OG, man.
The OG,
godfather
right?
of...
Here's what I really like about... Let's use our hot takes as a way to expound on our feelings about Pixar.
Correct.
What I've really liked about Pixar... So, remember when we were talking about The Incredibles and we were talking about how much the animation has gone ahead since Incredibles 2?
Right.
I think that's amazing because, Pixar began as a tech company,
Correct,
right?
yes, yeah. They were working in the animation software and everything.
They were owned by Apple at one point,
correct, yeah.
which, again, one of the... I think Steve Jobs' greatest achievement is the fact that he brought Pixar into our lives.
John Lasseter, man. God, that guy's a genius, yeah.
Exactly. And so John Lasseter and Ed Catmull started it as...
Yeah.
they used to sell... there's a documentary as well as a book.
Pixar,
the Pixar
Brain
story.
Trust, it's so funny about that story.
Yeah, and they trace the origins of Pixar. They used to sell like medical imaging and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a software called RenderMan that is still used today in like basically computer graphics.
Right.
And they only started making short films. A big part of it was because Ed Catmull wanted to show off the animation capabilities.
Correct, yeah.
But amazingly, for all that background in tech and graphics, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Like, Toy Story was an amazing story, and not one person who saw it at that time would have gone like, these graphics could have been better though. That's never happened. They make the graphics better only because, like, they want to.
No, and they have, it's almost like every film that they made gave them a challenge, like, to how can we animate this thing as realistically as possible. Like, for Toy Story, obviously was a thing. But for, Bug's Life, it was like nature and plant life and things like that. And how can we make that look realistic? For Monsters Inc., it was the hair,
the
fur of all the monsters and things, and how could we do that? For Finding Nemo, it was water, like, how do we animate water realistically and make it? And so everything has been a challenge.
Exactly, and that's like a large part of the way they choose their next subjects is probably this as well.
So it comes from a pretty nerdy background, right? And who knew that these nerds would just be excellent storytellers, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
And like John Lasseter, I suppose, was more of a storyteller. Ed Catmull was more of a graphics guy.
Yeah.
But I believe...
He's the was to his...
Yeah, but Ed Catmull always wanted them to make movies, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't think oddly enough, the graphics matter as much. They're just so good at story that the graphics, the fact that they do better every time is just like, well, more points to them.
Yeah,
But
just more points.
You don't need to. You could put out like stick figure animations of this stuff and we'd still love it because they're that well done.
Yeah, I agree. I think Toy Story Man. Okay, we'll try and do this. Hot takes and favorite scene. Maybe.
All right.
If we can remember a favorite
Yeah.
scene. I think my favorite scene in Toy Story is definitely the one where Buzz kind of still thinks he's is an actual ranger.
I was
space.
just going to say that, yeah.
and he jumps off the staircase and he crashes
just like
and
plonks around.
Man, and that is heartbreaking. Oh my god. That was just insane, yeah.
What a great cast that was also.
Oof, yeah, they just nailed it, man. My
And
god.
they also began the trend of having big stars do animated roles.
That's true, yeah.
Next up, A Bug's Life.
Bug's Life. Did you see Chance the Rapper's tweet recently?
No.
It was literally 2 words, or 3 words technically. He just put ants greater than Bug's Life.
I was just going to say, I feel like this is the one time DreamWorks might have had a slight upper hand.
That's I only think it's because ants kind of made it pretty realistic and the grim life of being a soldier ant or whatever, you know, and like, a working ant, and contributing to it. But Bug's Life was a more homely kind of thing, more about,
And I still get them confused. A Bug's Life was the Seven Samurai riff, right? Or was that ants?
That was
ants.
Yes,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Bug's Life was about what's his name? I can't even remember.
The main ant?
Yeah.
Flick.
Yes. It had a great game. Pixar game. Yeah.
I used to play the Toy Story game.
Man,
which is also
all
solid.
Pixar games have been incredible, man. It's been
They're
really
a
good.
computer company.
Correct, yeah. If they mess that up, how would they? Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Bug's Life is the one that's the riff on Seven Samurai. A misfit ant named Flick is looking for tough warriors to save his colony from grasshoppers, and he recruits a group of bugs that turn out to be an inept circus troupe. So again, based on the Seven Samurai, where you have a bunch of imposters and go like, these guys are going to save us.
Yeah.
Apparently they're not.
Yeah, so Bug's Life was a good film. I think it was fine.
It was good.
Yeah.
But not even close to the most memorable. Then that was followed by the sequel to Toy Story.
Toy Story 2.
Uh-huh.
Even better, I would say.
One of the few times in history that the sequel has topped the original.
Man, best scene in this movie with Joan Cusack. The whole song, the story of the flashbacks of how she was left behind. My God, that's where the feels are. Boom, straight up over there, where you're just like, wait,
what's that song called?
Oh man, I can't. I think it's like a Sarah McLachlan
When
song.
She Loved Me.
Yeah. Is it a Sarah McLachlan song?
Yeah, it is. No, Randy Newman wrote it, but I think it might have been sung by Sarah McLachlan. But yeah,
man,
When
amazing.
She Loved Me. Oh, so good.
So good.
All right.
Amazing movie.
And
the airport
this,
sequence at the end, so good. Yeah,
1999, this again, a great sequence. But yes, this marks the beginning of Pixar's golden run.
Yeah.
Let's just keep counting them off and see where they stop. 1999 we begin. Toy Story 2 followed by Monsters, Inc.
Man. Classic.
Oh, man.
And the feels are so strong with this one as well. With Boo. And what an ingenious idea. This one, in terms of pure idea, what a great idea. About how monsters live in a parallel universe.
Yeah.
And that
they live off the screams of kids.
My God, genius.
And that they're more scared of the kids than the kids
and
are.
how laughter is a better power source. Wow, man.
It's amazing.
What a genius idea.
So here is a great example of Pixar. It's not just a surface level. Wouldn't it be funny if the monsters were scared of kids?
Exactly.
They take it apart on so many levels.
Yeah, and I think also just the idea, the visualization of the doors, the different doors and how they move around. Brilliant.
Spectacular.
Yeah. And
so
great cast as well.
Let's also do this. We're doing checklist of, is it about loss of innocence /
100%.
being forgotten? Toy Story 2? Yes.
Yes, straight
Monsters
up.
Inc? Yes.
Yes, of
Next,
course.
Finding Nemo.
Oh my
literally,
God.
the fear of being lost and forgotten.
Man, and how else do that than have one of the best representations of that kind of short-term amnesia?
Yeah.
Than Dory, man.
Yeah.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Who
knew?
I mean,
that
entire cast. But
role, man. Yeah.
A perfect movie, really.
Best line, for my favorite line from this movie, she's like, he's like, I just don't want him to kind of go out there, what if something happens to him? And she's just like, if nothing ever happens to him, then nothing will ever happen to him. Brilliant, man. So good.
It's righteous, dude.
P. Sherman far to Wallaby Way, Sydney.
The fact that we remember
that. So good, right?
Next up, The Incredibles, which we've discussed in some detail.
Great movie.
Great movie. The Golden Run continues.
Continues straight up.
Once
Loss
again,
of innocence.
the fear of being forgotten.
Yes, the fear of being forgotten again.
Oh
Boom.
my God, we're nailing this. Next, okay, Cars. What do you think of Cars?
Man. So I actually...
Cars was
I'm one of the
2006, by the way, a long time ago.
people who actually love Cars.
I also really love Cars. I don't get why. I feel like a lot of people held up to the standard of like, wow, you just did The Incredibles, you just did Finding Nemo, and now you're doing Cars, which seems like more of a, again, DreamWorks-y style movie.
But perfectly fits the themes.
Yeah.
Loss of, what do you call it? No, not loss of, but loss of
identity.
Yeah, loss of identity.
I mean...
and fear of being forgotten. Again.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what happens to Lightning McQueen.
That's what happens to Doc.
And Doc, man. Doc.
Like, Doc doesn't do stuff because he's
And he passed
scared.
I think this is one of his final films also, right? Paul Newman?
Yes, yeah. And actually, it's a great...
Dude, the first movie is great.
It works.
It's Radiator Springs, bro. And we got two great songs from that. We got Real Gone from Sheryl Crow. We got Route 66 by John Mayer. Man, great movie. So, yeah. I think,
well done.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you need to compare it to anything else, but it's underrated for sure.
Underrated, yeah.
And once again, the depth that they build the world out into.
Yeah,
though, of course, it does raise all these questions of like,
what
what happened to the people?
What happened to the people?
Yeah, there's some like really weird explorations into the subject, so you should check it out. But Cars is a really, really good movie.
Really, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
But followed by, again, man, the Golden Run continues. Ratatouille.
Man, this is such a good film.
What a weird idea when you think about it. This also came from that famous lunch, no?
Yeah, so that's the original, the first lunch that had Toy Story, Bugs Life, Monsters,
and Ratatouille.
Yeah, in it. And the last one was WALL-E, which we'll get to. But Ratatouille, I think just the irony of a rat that can cook is just brilliant.
And it's so far from an obvious idea, right?
Yes.
The idea that a rat really wants to be a chef.
Yeah.
And that he controls a kid with by pulling on his hair.
This is a Brad Bird film. And I think the Brad Bird films are slightly different in terms, because I think he is a visionary out of all the directors.
Easily.
He's not a Pixar guy.
Yeah.
He was brought in and like, he obviously his family there now, but like, he came in with his ideas, and that's why this one I feel feels perfectly like a Pixar film, but it doesn't have the... I don't know if it has the exact... Does it have like a loss of identity or fear of being forgotten theme in it? I don't think so. What the themes of this film? Let's talk about that.
In a sense, well, not loss of identity,
the
but...
The brilliance of this movie is the fact that everyone can cook, right? Like, I like that. That's the idea of the film.
I feel like what the underlying theme, which is maybe it's a spin on loss of identity, is the fact that Remy has an identity that does not fit in with everyone around him.
True.
And he's like, the idea that you're not born into anything.
Yeah, it's true.
And everyone can cook.
It felt very Indian almost, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a lesson everybody can take to heart, right? Especially us doing the things we do.
Exactly.
You're saying like, you don't have to be what you were born as. So you don't have to be a rat that lives...
Amazing,
And if your entire species is not super into food and you're into food, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can cook.
Yeah, it's amazing. Dude, it was a great... And it's so well written and so many funny moments from this film. Oh, man. Favorite moment in this film? I'm just trying to think.
The Ratatouille eating scene?
Ratatouille, so that's a classic one. But I think my favorite is when Linguini, who's obviously Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol, it looks exactly like him. But I think the fact when he comes over to work, he's knocked out completely, and Remy is just controlling him from his hair, and that's how he ends up kissing. What's her name? I can't remember.
The Catherine Zeta-Jones type.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the type.
Is it her? She plays her?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was Janine Garofalo. How do I know? Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So, Ratatouille, perfectly great film.
All right. So let's take a quick break. We are at this point, we're in 2007.
Yeah, 2007.
We are well into the Golden Run, show no signs of slowing down.
Yes.
We will come back, and the Golden Run continues, believe it or not.
Why don't we talk about mental illness? For that matter, we don't even talk about emotional wellness. And if we can't talk about either of these basic, very basic aspects of being human, what do we do when we just feel like something's not right?
Hi, I'm Zain.
And I'm Avanti.
And this is Marbles Lost and Found, a show where we invite conversations about mental health and illness and just get people to talk about it, because it's okay to do so. Catch Marbles Lost and Found every Tuesday on the IVM app website, or anywhere you get your podcasts from.
Welcome back to the Geek Fruit Podcast. We are going through all the Pixar films and discussing that and life, because you can't talk about a Pixar film without talking about life.
Yes.
So we just talked about Ratatouille followed by WALL-E. Come on, man. What is this streak?
Pete Docter, right? If I'm
Pete
not
Docter,
mistaken. Man, classic. So, like, arguably one of my favorites.
Oh, it's directed by Andrew Stanton, but written by Stanton and Docter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is, I think, Andrew Stanton's run when he was, like, handling everything. He did Finding Nemo, and I think he did... what do you call it? Yeah, Andrew Stanton did Finding Nemo. They've been alternating. Yeah.
Doctor did Monsters, Stanton did Finding
Pete
Nemo.
Docter did Monsters, yeah, correct.
Brad Bird did The Incredibles.
Yeah.
John Lasseter did Cars.
Yeah.
Brad Bird did Ratatouille again, and now we're back to Stanton. They've been flipping it back and forth.
No, I just think that's how the projects are. They take 4 years to make a film, right?
And they are often running in parallel.
Yeah. So WALL-E, man, I think we spoke about it briefly in our last episode also when we talked about the score, because there's, very little dialogue in the film. Yeah.
For just on a technical level, revolutionary.
Amazing.
The idea that you can do pretty much most of the movie with one character and complete silence is so weird.
Dude, but also, I think what I love about this movie is the story. I mean, I feel like I find a very mixed audience for this. Like, some people don't like this film as much.
How can you not like WALL-E?
Believe it or
Who
not,
are these people you're hanging out with?
And they don't like it as much. But I just think the story is so... Man, it's insane. What a poetic kind of finale, and the whole thing is a environmental, ecological message.
Yeah.
It's in the middle. It's like a romance, man. It's like a romantic film. It's a romantic comedy at many levels, It
is.
And wow, fantastic.
Which it kind of takes a completely different turn in the last act.
And you know what? I was watching again also recently, and you know what made me really confirm that this is a rom-com? It's because there's this one scene which is at the end where the captain turns on her memory bank and starts to see the visuals of Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And while he's trying to see what the Earth looks like, she looks at it because she was shut off in that time because she picks up the plant and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And she sees that WALL-E has been doing all these nice things for her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, it's such a classic rom-com scene.
That's a very rom-com thing.
He's like, oh my God, he was doing this all along, It was just that, and I was just like, this is such a rom-com. It's great.
So good.
Yeah. Excellent story.
Again, like a moving robot, and you've given him like the most depth out of most characters in most films.
And great closing credits song. Peter Gabriel, Down to Earth.
Of course.
Amazing.
Oh man, spectacular.
So good.
So well done.
Next, let's move on.
Next up was Up. Oh man, come on.
This is probably the best one, I think.
WALL-E, also weirdly enough, was the first to feature actual footage, I want to say.
Right, yeah, because it had this actor in it. What's his name? I can't even remember. That guy, you've seen him like in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, he plays the
dad. He's the president of By and Large.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forget his name. But yes, you know him.
Yes.
He's in a bunch of comedies especially.
And it's really funny.
And WALL-E keeps watching Singing in the Rain, I want to say?
Hello Dolly.
Hello Dolly, correct.
Yeah. And what's really funny about this is that when they show all the portraits of all the captains on the Axiom, it's like starts with a live action
and then
they slowly become animated. It's so weird.
But they pull it off. But I remember
to
noticing that. Maybe the one like technical oddity. But yes, followed by Up, directed by Pete Docter. And man, what a movie Up is.
I think, wow.
Those first 10 minutes of Up,
yeah,
which tells the story of the old couple.
Yes,
like literally from when they were kids until the wife dies.
Yeah.
I don't know,
man. And even in
as a standalone 10 minutes, it's maybe one of the best pieces of film ever.
Ever made. And even that one moment, I think the thing that really hits you the most is this: how realistic they've depicted, like, the fact that she can't, I think they have a miscarriage, or she can't, carry a
she
child
can't
or something.
have kids.
Yeah, and there's that one scene. The next scene that they cut to, it's just her just sitting alone, and her hair is like just like it's not been done, and it's just like it's. Oh my God, it's colossally
it destroys your life, dude.
Man.
I remember watching it, and I mean, Pixar movies always get you.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this, and like in the first 10 minutes, the friend of mine who was seeing her, she's like in tears, and I'm like, I know.
I think this is the one. Yeah, this is definitely one I wept the most at.
Right away, dude. And 10 minutes in, it's destroyed me. I'm like, I can't see the screen anymore.
But there's another moment in this film which is just the the heartbreaking one, which is that finally at the end at Paradise Falls, what is it called? Paradise Falls?
Paradise Falls, yes.
He finally sets the house down and he goes inside and he's just like, feels like he's lost everything.
Yeah.
And he goes and he opens the photo book, which he feels like he's remorseful that he can't, he couldn't give his wife this adventure. And then he just flips like a couple of pages and he realizes that he's actually had this amazing life. And when he sees that and his face, I was just like, oh my God.
How can you make
Carl
a face
Fredrickson.
do those things?
Wow, my God.
Right at the end when he pins that like little grape thing on the kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
superb,
God.
man. Too good.
Tears.
Tears.
Followed by Toy Story 3 in 2010.
And too many tears. Really,
Again,
but,
Toy Story 3 spectacularly somehow does better than Toy Story and Toy Story 2.
Yeah, I mean, it just
very
takes the
different.
concept,
It gets a lot more grown up suddenly.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, I guess it had to, right?
There's that one scene which is just possibly the cruelest thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Like, man, people say Hitler was bad, but have they met Pixar?
Yeah,
because that scene where the toys are all on the conveyor belt, you're just like, what are you doing to us?
And it's not even just that. It's not even like they seem resigned to their fate in that one
That's
moment.
what's so
And you know what the
depressing.
greatest thing is that the claw saves them. I mean, it's like, it's such a great thread back to the original.
Yeah.
Man, too good. Sorry. Just these movies,
Weird.
man.
We haven't been doing a loss of innocence and
Oh, right.
identity check.
So-
Is WALL-E about loss of innocence?
Yeah, I think so, 100%.
Kind of, right?
Because, I think
it's
just
loss of identity, maybe, because you're saying, people realize that it's about the loss of identity of a species.
Of
the
the
people are like,
humankind, yeah.
this robot is more human than we have,
Correct.
than what we have turned out to be.
Yes, so I think that definitely
Well
is there.
done.
No, but being forgotten also is a big part of that film, man. Like, I mean, about Earth
the
and
fact
about
that WALL-E's
WALL-E.
forgotten.
Yeah, pretty
Amongst
much.
the
I think
thousands of
it
WALL-Es.
rings pretty true.
Up definitely is.
Oof,
I mean,
straight up, just into like that.
yeah, like what is your life after your partner of so many years is gone?
Wow, man, yeah.
And quite
And for
literally,
the
in
kid
fact,
also,
because
yeah.
the kid is
Yes,
trying to find himself.
that's true.
Toy Story 3 is
Man,
the
yeah.
worst movie of all time. Because it's just mean. It's a
just
mean movie.
yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I think I've only seen it like the 2 times, and I have not watched it since. Because
Yeah.
it's a bit
hard
of
one.
a
It's a hard one, yeah.
And then we come to a point where I think possibly this is where the Golden Run slows down. Cars 2.
Cars 2. I think, you know why? I think, so Cars has always been Pixar's cash cow because they've sold more, like dabbas and, like...
Yeah, like a Cars different dabba.
Yeah, exactly. Than they could have ever imagined. They needed to make a sequel.
Yeah.
And they didn't make it about lightning. And I think that's what made it fail.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
Freaking
they made
Tomato.
Mater is a good supporting character. He's not a principal character. And I think that's what kind of...
You can't,
drew it off the tracks.
him as the focus. I really like the conceit again, this like international spy thriller sort of
but
thing.
like why,
But yeah,
It just felt like a spin. It felt like straight to DVD film.
Exactly. It didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the sort of depth of character that Cars 1 got into.
Yeah.
Cars 2 doesn't even touch. It tries to by making Mater like a fish out of water, but
No, I don't think it worked. I think Cars 2 is probably their weakest film.
of all time.
Oh no, maybe The Good Dinosaur, but I haven't seen that.
Okay, neither have I.
Okay.
So let's not
Yeah.
cast aspersions because it's got dinosaurs. So
Okay,
it's
fair
possibly
enough.
better.
Yes. Yeah,
But yeah.
I've heard they're good as well.
Yeah,
Good.
Cars 2 not as great, but followed up by somewhat of a return to form already, which
Yeah.
is Brave.
Oh, I actually liked Brave.
I think
but it
Brave
was
is
not
great.
memorable. I think that's the only thing. But I think definitely Loss of Innocence is a huge part of that film. The whole movie is about this whole bear and her trying to establish her character.
Yeah, the loss of identity. I used to be a queen, now I'm a bear.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I thought the entire, just the performance animation of the bear is so good.
But the animation overall in this movie is like almost like better, like a cut above. Like I think it's because they were trying to depict something really realistic.
Yeah, and Merida's hair.
Yeah, my gosh.
Is just.
I think that was the whole movie project. It was like, how do we do curly hair? And boom, that's how the movie is.
And then they pulled it off. So
Yeah.
Brave, good, but not great.
But fits into the themes. I think.
This is where the sort of odd curve of Pixar movies begins, because this was followed by Monsters University, a sequel that was not necessary. A prequel that was not necessary.
Not necessary?
I don't think so. Did you watch it?
No.
Neither have I.
Okay, great.
So that's how unnecessary it is. We love Pixar and we didn't
But
even bother
it
getting
had
into it.
John Goodman and Billy Crystal. How have we not seen this?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I started watching it and I was just like, okay.
I think I just never got around to it, but it also feels to me like their entire dynamic is already there, and
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say anything about it at all.
Yeah,
It's
unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not bad.
You think this is like how Assassin's Creed just needs to keep making a game every year to keep audiences interested? I don't think they need to do that.
I think this is the beginning of the cash cow point.
Right.
I wonder, when were they sold to Disney exactly? Just before Brave?
Let's try and
Or
draw.
just before Cars 2?
Yeah.
I will look it up.
Yes.
While we continue. Okay. Talk about Inside Out while I look up some Pixar
Okay,
facts.
so Inside Out, man, amazing movie. And I think the story of making the movie was even harder. I think Pete Docter, I don't know who did, I think it was Pete Docter. But I think he thought he was going to be fired if he didn't make this movie a hit, because I think they were suffering from their last few failures at the box office.
Yeah.
And while he was going back home one day trying to figure out what this story was,
It's Pete Docter.
he kind of said, man, without sadness, I can't appreciate my own life, and I can't get my, if everything was good all the time, it wouldn't be perfect, it wouldn't make sense. And he used that as a theme for his film.
Lies. Let me tell you what he'd figured out. He was like, without sadness, Pixar ain't gonna make no money.
Man, this one is also a tearjerker, like to another level.
It's such a tearjerker.
And like, it fits perfectly, that whole idea, man. The whole thing about, what's Bing Bong?
Bing Bong. Literally the fear of being forgotten.
Yeah, and he gets forgotten, and that scene is so... And you know what the thing is, man? Joy, who's played amazingly by Amy Poehler, man, she's got like 3.5 features on her face.
Yeah.
But even when she cries, it's so realistic. Like, it really looks like what it might, what a people look like when they cry.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking, my God.
That entire cast was perfect. Like, what is Mindy Kaling?
She's Jealousy?
Something like that. But like just a
Amazing.
perfect cast, and again, the idea taken to so many levels. It's an entire movie that takes place inside a little girl's brain, pretty much.
There was that meme, right? Remember, they said, what if we give toys emotions? What if we give bugs emotions? What if we give this emotions? What if we gave emotions? What would happen then? And then they made the film.
That's the stage of the meme where the brain explodes into like a million things. This, opposed to DreamWorks, where the most popular meme of theirs is every character in DreamWorks makes this face, and it's this like kind of self-aware sneer, like, hey, I'm a character in an animated movie, innit? Inside Out was followed by The Good Dinosaur, which neither of us have seen. Again,
so we will refrain.
Maybe
from
we should.
commenting.
Yeah, let's refrain from commenting. But
it's on Netflix. We should check it out.
Oh, is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Cool.
They've just put up a bunch of stuff on Netflix.
I only recently found out that the dinosaur talks.
What?
Yeah.
Well, this changes everything.
I know. What is this movie?
He really is a good dinosaur. Okay, cool.
I've heard good things, but not great things. It feels like a Disney movie.
It isn't called The Great Dinosaur.
Exactly.
It's called, after
and
watching it,
Disney did have a movie called Dinosaurs, in which the dinosaurs didn't talk.
No, they did.
Oh, no, they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But also, speaking of Disney, I did look up when they were sold. It has nothing to do with anything. They were sold in 2006, which is when Cars came out. But followed by WALL-E and Ratatouille.
Okay, so
we're
I guess
okay.
it's fine,
Let's not blame Disney.
Yeah, okay. For everything.
The Good Dinosaur was followed by Finding Dory.
Good movie. I actually liked it. And I cried also.
Yes.
In this one.
I feel like it's one of the better sequels they've done. It's not up to Toy Story 2 level, say, where it does better than the original movie.
But I actually like Finding Dory. I can't believe I'm saying this. I like Finding Dory better than I liked Incredibles 2.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Definitely.
Because there's a clear theme in the
Finding
film.
Dory has a lot more feels.
Yeah. And man, Hank the Octopus and animating that guy.
Yeah.
It was an insane task, and they nailed it, man. I thought it had a bunch of really good new characters. It had Idris Elba in it, which already makes my day.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And Sigourney Weaver, so just even better. Dude, I thought this was a great movie.
It was a very good movie.
Great sequel to a movie.
Maybe we'll get into our favorite Pixar movies.
Correct, yes.
But this was followed by Cars 3.
Cars, did you watch it?
I can't remember, which maybe says
I
something
saw it
about
because
it.
I am a Cars fan. I saw it, and it is a return to form for the Cars franchise, as in I'll say that. It's probably as good as Cars 1. It's actually really, it's about, retirement.
What happens in Cars 3, remind me?
So it's basically about how Lightning McQueen has only so much more to go before he has to call it in, and say like, okay, how long can I do this?
Okay.
And that's a great theme.
That's
and
a good
like
theme.
it's about him
loss
kind
of identity in it.
pretty much, yeah. And again, fear of being forgotten. It's like, and it's solid. Like it's a solid film. Like it's.
I don't think I've seen it actually.
It's good, and it's a very mature kind of take on what Lightning McQueen has to go through. Man, Lightning McQueen's my boy, man. It's Owen Wilson.
He's Owen Wilson, dude.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Just that first scene of Cars where it's completely dark and it's
man.
only Owen Wilson's
Yeah.
voice. This is so perfect.
You got this.
Yeah.
Why?
Followed
Why?
by, man, unfortunately, one more I haven't seen. I've got to get to these. Coco. How is Coco? Tell us.
Okay.
You've told me it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. It is one of their best. It's their best film in the last, like, I'd say 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this list, they've definitely, unfortunately, gone inconsistent. I don't want to say downhill, but definitely inconsistent.
Yeah, and Coco is up there with Ratatouille, Up, Wall-E. Like,
Wow,
that,
really?
Yes,
It's
100%.
that good?
It's that good.
Why was it, like, weirdly not as big a deal in the
I have no
general
idea.
mainstream?
I think because, I don't know, man. I have
mean,
no idea.
Like, you know how Toy Story or like a Cars would,
Well, it
or a
was still
Ratatouille
novel
would take
then.
over popular culture pretty much.
Yeah.
Coco didn't.
I think it did because I think it did in the because it's based in the like
The Mexican Day of the
tradition.
Dead
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
yeah.
And I think it was a big hit with like the Latin American community and things like that. So I think that was a big deal for them. It did really well at the box office. Critically, obviously, it did amazingly well. I will say this: it is definitely one of their best films.
Yeah?
Yeah, without a doubt.
I am
and the
definitely-
whole exactly what I'm talking about, man. The movie's is about the Day of the Dead, which is about
Right.
when you remember the dead and
Los
the
Días
whole-
de la Muertos.
Exactly, and it's about how if you don't put your ancestors' photo on the ofrenda, like which is where you place your,
Right.
and you remember them, they don't get to come back into on the Day of the
Huh.
Dead to visit and collect, and
I
see
thought
the
it was
family.
all about that
It's the whole movie's
funky
ab-
guitar that he
It's
plays.
about a guitar. The whole movie is about a guitar and like this kid who wants to play music, but
Hmm.
his whole family, his great grandmother was spurned by this one musician, left the family without. So they were like,
Oh
no more
my
music.
god!
And
you know what this
kid-
feels like?
What?
This feels like a greatest hits of all of Pixar's best themes.
Dude, I'm
They're
telling
like,
you.
let's throw all of them in there.
And I'm telling you, it stands on its own. It's a brilliant film. It's smartly written. There's some solid feels. It's about music, and there's great. And this is the first
So
movie which
greatest
has
hits,
a great.
they're like
it's the
this-
first musical that Pixar has done. Like there's such
Yeah, it's got
great
like
music in
singing
it.
songs and stuff. No?
Amazing, man. And that one song which is called "Remember Me," it's wow, fantastic, man. It's one of their best movies.
All right, definitely.
Straight
I will check it
up.
out
Yeah.
and maybe report back.
Beautifully animated. Wow, so good.
I'm
So-
sure.
so good.
Again, like that, which was the case with Incredibles 2 also, I think, because that's the next movie. We've come to the end.
Oh, we've come to the end. Okay, so
Yeah.
Incredibles 2. All right, I think it's time to do our final top five. What's
Top
your
five,
What's your top?
huh?
Okay, top three. Let's say
Okay, top 3.
top. Oh wow, this is a tough one. This is a tough
It
one.
is so tough.
Woo.
I think I have it.
I think I also have it.
How do you want to do it? Like 3, 2, 1 or 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1?
3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Okay, give me a 3.
I'm gonna say Up is definitely.
All right. Interesting. My number 3 is Ratatouille, or as we called it for a little while after it came out because we thought it was French, Ratatouille.
It is French, and that is also how you say it.
But, yeah.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, it is Ratatouille though.
As long as it's
and
not
you think,
Ratatouille.
Like, this doesn't sound classy enough for a French name, right? Ratatouille. So we're like, hey, you saw that poster? Ratatouille is coming. Hey, please,
Ratatouille.
it's Ratatouille.
And then like they
And
made the
then you're in
mistake
the-
that everyone started calling the rat Ratatouille instead of
Yeah.
Remy,
Correct.
which was played by a boy, by the way.
Who's our boy?
Remy was played by. Oh my God!
Who's I can't remember who Remy
What,
was
you
played
don't
by.
know who is played by? Wait 1 second. Hold on.
Of course, Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt. Thank you so much. Yes.
Oh, thank-
So Patton
how did I
Oswalt-
forget that?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't remember his name for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I was typing it into Google and I was like, Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
My brain Googled it for
nice.
me.
I know.
But
It
yeah.
was like, were you thinking of? Yeah. But yeah, I think yeah. So Up and Ratatouille for us is number 3.
Yeah, are our number 3s. Give us your number 2. I'll tell you,
tough
my
one.
number 2,
Go
since
for
you
it.
just brought it up, my
Yeah.
number 2 is Up.
Okay, cool.
I
Number two
mean,
is Up.
I think Up is really, really great. If only you could change, I feel like the one part Up kind of falters
Yeah.
is when it becomes an action adventure. Like,
it's fine.
it's fine. But
It could-
when
it
you're
had to. It's a kids'
when you're
movie.
like exactly, it kind of like neatly ties a ribbon on the crazy explorer part of the story.
Yeah.
But everything before that was so emotionally hard hitting
Yeah.
that I mean, in a way, it's necessary because it gives you a bit of a breather before you
Yeah.
go back to like all the feels.
Yeah.
But that might be the weakest part of the movie. But I just think like that
It's-
first, the couple story, the kid story,
Yeah,
and
Kevin.
yeah.
And Doug and oh man.
And Doug and the
Yeah.
squirrel
Yeah.
and all of that, just perfect.
Yeah.
So Up, number 2 for
Up,
me.
Yeah, Up is great. It's one of my favorites. I think it's just in terms of the feels, it's just like it's right up there. My second choice is so hard. I'll say it's Wall-E.
Fair.
My 2 and 1 are interchangeable, but yeah, Wall-E.
Yeah, I feel like our top 6 or 7, probably that golden run is all just like top notch. They're all A++.
Yeah.
So this is just a question of maybe one more plus in some.
Yeah, I think Wall-E is definitely one of the best films that they've made. Just in terms of making a romantic film and a theme, like a socially conscious film together.
I mean, almost like 2 movies in one.
Yeah, not using dialogue. So many tricks, man. So many great moments in this movie. It's just easily one of my favorites.
Give us your number 1.
Coco is my favorite, I think.
Shut up, really? It's that good?
I think for me, it hits home in so many levels, like about family not wanting to do music, and just like, about looking up to your idols, things like that. It's just about music, and it's a passionate film, man. Like, it's really, you can see it in the eyes of like
really
the
interesting. Okay,
yeah.
I definitely have to watch it now.
Yeah.
My number 1 though is Finding Nemo.
Oh man, I would be very close to it. Yeah, man,
it wasn't even in your top 3 though.
It would have been, man. Like,
this is how tough the rankings are.
It's too hard, man. It's
too hard. But Finding Nemo is a great movie.
It's like doing the IITG exam.
This is tough. If they
even
put
if
that in the
98th
IIT
percentile, also is not good.
You
enough.
can't make it. But great movies all around.
Amazing. Yeah, it's hard to kind of get through. Like, Finding Nemo, man. Inside Out should be there somewhere. Like. All these movies should be there somewhere.
Exactly.
Toy Story, man. Oh my god.
I know, like neither of our top 3s featured any of the Toy
Stories. I think
Stories.
it's because they've just evolved. They've done even better films since then, man.
They've always gotten better, except for
That's why I feel Coco is like, it's up there for me, man.
That's cool. So are they back on a winning streak? Maybe, right?
Incredibles
I don't know, they've
2,
already kind of fallen.
I'm interested in seeing what they do next. I want to see their more original IPs now, man. I don't want to see sequels and stuff.
I think that's part of the problem. When they started doing sequels, maybe that was part of it. But there was a point where they could do no wrong, and now they're at a point where they're kind of doing wrong. Especially because, I mean, John Lasseter's fired now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird.
Yeah, strange.
I mean, John Lasseter, come on, dude.
It's like
what's wrong with you?
Yeah. They'll get him back.
No, but also, like, he left by himself.
Yeah, but he's done, I think, also, man.
He has to be, because...
And he's so rich.
There are these... he's fine. But there are all these stories that came out after the thing where employees were speaking out about it.
That's
sad.
And
I was like, Pixar always seemed like an amazing place to work. And then you find out that the main boss was kind of a douche.
Yeah.
Thank God, Pixar, I think they don't need John Lasseter at this point. They've got a bench strength that is unparalleled.
Dude, man, look at that, like, just list of directors, man. It's
exactly.
Crazy. And even if they're short films, the ones that precede the films, like, did you see Bao and stuff like that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, those films are so strong. They've got a host of really young,
and there's the thing where,
the
guys who make the short films direct their own movies later.
Yeah. So it's gonna happen. Cool, good, we did it, man. We finally did our Pixar episode.
This was impossible. I don't know how we did it.
Very difficult. Okay, cool. Let us know what your favorite Pixar film is and what you thought of The Incredibles.
Give us your top 3.
Yeah, give us your top 3 and write to us at contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. You can find us on @geekfruithq on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah.
And IGTV. Why not? Go look us up there.
Yeah, we have nothing there, but I'm sure we will.
But you can find us there.
Okay. See you later.
See you all, you nerds.
You nerds.
अगर आपकी जिंदगी में कोई ऐसी आपको दुविधा हो जिसका सवाल कोई दे नहीं पा रहा, तो हमने बनाया है आपके लिए एक खास शो जिसका नाम है सुनलोजी सुरलॉजी, जिस पर मैं पवन कुमार आपका सूत्रधार आपका स्वागत करता हूँ ताकि आप पूछ सके सवाल सोनू से.
Yes, I am Sonu. Hello, pleased to make your meeting. I am a super reality celebrity और दुनिया के कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है जो सेलिब्रिटी सॉल्व नहीं कर सकते, तो मैं आपके सारे प्रॉब्लम्स का हलाइजेशन एंड सॉल्वाइजेशन कर दूंगा.
तो जी हाँ, सोचिए मत, जरूर सुनिए सुनलोजी सोलॉजी हर बुधवार, दैट इज वेडनेसडे.
प्लीज लाइक आइज, शेयर आइज, कमेंटलाइज. अगर आपके पास कोई भी प्रॉब्लम्स है सोनू को बताइए. सोनू सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकता है. इसी तरह तो मैं सुपर सेलिब्रिटी बना हूँ.
Give me a word. या कोई भी लाइन, कुछ भी हो सकता है यार. क्या कहा आपने? टोपी. Okay. Mohan Joshi hated wearing topis. He felt suffocated in them. टोपी पहनते ही उसे स्कूल की याद आती थी. Where of course he had no choice but to wear a टोपी. But जिस दिन पास आउट हुआ, उसी दिन उसने अपनी टोपी का bonfire बना दिया. And since then, he'd never worn a cap or a hat. ना कड़कती धूप में, and not even to बचो from the ठंडी. But from Monday 26th February, Mohan Joshi had to wear a topi all the time. Why? Because if he didn't, everyone around him knew exactly वो क्या सोच रहा था. They knew that he was wondering how the girl in the yellow churidar would look बिना कपड़े के. They knew when he was calling the boss a sadela टमाटर. They knew everything. पर ये सब हुआ कैसे? अरे भाई, यही तो स्टोरी है. और ये स्टोरी आप ही ने मुझे दिया by giving me the starting word. यही तो है The Croc's Tales. Words आपके, कहानी आपके लिए. Catch the stories on Monday and Thursday on the IVM website, app, and anywhere you get your podcast from. See you soon.